We've spent the last segment unpacking the candid sit-down between Prince Harry and Meghan and Oprah last night, including several moments that never made it to air. Now Oprah joins us directly to talk through it. Back in 2021, Prince Harry and his wife Meghan Markle dropped a series of jaw-dropping claims about the royal family during a televised conversation with Oprah Winfrey. The broadcast didn't just make headlines. It broke the internet, rattled the foundations of the British monarchy, and reshaped celebrity culture for years afterward. Now, years removed from that historic night, media icon Oprah Winfrey has finally opened up, pulling back the curtain on what really happened before, during, and after cameras started rolling. Oprah's shocking new revelations. The 2021 interview remains one of the most watched television events of that year. It put Prince Harry and Meghan Markle back in the global spotlight and split public opinion right down the middle. Only now, years later, has Oprah felt ready to reflect on it publicly. What many people don't realize is that Oprah's pursuit of this interview didn't start in 2021. It started years earlier. She first reached out to Meghan for a one-on-one back in 2018, an offer Meghan declined at the time, roughly 2 years before Harry and Meghan would announce their departure from royal duties. It took persistent behind-the-scenes work from Oprah, calling on relationships built over decades in media, before the couple finally agreed to sit down with her. Once she had them in the chair, Oprah insisted on keeping things unscripted. She has said no questions were shared with Harry or Meghan in advance, and that even her own network's executives and production staff had no idea what would come out of the conversation. Every reaction, she maintains, was captured live and real. Her goal, she explained, was simply to hand the couple a platform and let them tell their story in their own words. What she didn't anticipate was the sheer scale of the fallout. Headlines exploding across every continent, and criticism aimed not just at the royal family, but at Oprah herself, with some accusing her of lobbing softball questions instead of pushing for harder answers. Her response has been consistent. She never expected the couple to be as forthcoming as they were, so her approach was to open the door and let them walk through it however they chose. But long before any of the backlash, how exactly did a media billionaire and a former American actress pull off what became the most exclusive royal interview of the modern era? The roots go back to May 2018, at the royal wedding itself, held at Windsor Castle. Oprah's attendance made headlines on its own, and yet, at that point, she and Meghan had only actually met in person once before. In the years that followed the wedding, as British tabloids ramped up increasingly hostile coverage of Meghan, Oprah used her platform to publicly push back, defending Meghan's character in television appearances and interviews of her own. When Harry and Meghan stepped back from official royal duties in early 2020, they relocated to Montecito, California, the same town Oprah calls home. Their relationship soon moved from personal to professional. Harry and Oprah teamed up to co-produce The Me You Can't See, a mental health documentary series for Apple TV+. That collaboration cemented a working relationship months before the bombshell interview ever aired. The multi-million-dollar deal. Once Harry and Meghan were ready to sit down for the full conversation, Oprah still had to secure U.S. broadcast rights. Behind closed doors, her team at Harpo Productions ran a tightly controlled negotiation, complete with strict non-disclosure agreements. One notable decision: they deliberately cut out traditional British royal correspondence from the process entirely, choosing instead to let American media control how the story reached the world. That decision set off a bidding war. CBS ultimately locked down the U.S. broadcast rights from Harpo Productions for a reported $7 to $9 million. Advertisers paid roughly $325,000 for a single 30-second commercial slot, nearly double CBS's usual primetime rate. And even at that price, the ad inventory reportedly sold out almost immediately. Neither Harry nor Meghan were paid to appear, a point Oprah made clear at the top of the broadcast, though CBS's rights only covered the United States. To distribute the interview internationally, Viacom, CBS's global arm, ran a separate bidding process abroad. In the UK, the rights ultimately went to ITV for more than £1 million, a deal that triggered immediate backlash from British media outlets who felt an American network was profiting off what they viewed as a national institution. Timing made things worse. The interview aired while 99-year-old Prince Philip remained hospitalized recovering from heart surgery, and critics accused the network of prioritizing ratings over sensitivity to the family's private circumstances. The broadcast went ahead regardless, and it went on to pull in more than 60 million viewers worldwide, becoming a massive financial win for everyone involved in production, while leaving the royal family to manage the public fallout back in London. Few viewers realized how tightly controlled the physical set was. Most assumed the interview took place either in Oprah's backyard or inside Harry and Meghan's own California home. In reality, filming happened at an undisclosed private estate belonging to a mutual friend. Production used the pandemic-era safety restrictions of 2021 to their advantage, citing COVID protocols as legal justification for locking down the property and keeping paparazzi, press, and royal security entirely away from the location. Oprah also kept her line of questioning close to the chest, declining to share it even with the couple's own public relations team ahead of time. A choice she has said allowed her to capture more genuine, unfiltered reactions on camera. The full conversation reportedly ran well over 3.5 hours. Editors spent several days trimming that raw footage down into the roughly 85-minute special that eventually aired. The viral moment. Before Harry joined the conversation, Oprah sat with Meghan one-on-one. Meghan described repeatedly having to respond to press inquiries about the royal family with a scripted no comment. Oprah leaned in and asked directly, "Were you silent or were you silenced?" The binary framing left no room for a neutral answer. Meghan's reply, the latter, landed as a direct accusation against palace communications staff, suggesting she had been actively prevented from speaking for herself. Within minutes, the clip was everywhere. TikTok, X, Instagram, spun into memes, reaction videos, and sound bites used far outside the original context. That single exchange became shorthand for the entire Sussex narrative, a couple asserting control over their own voice after years of feeling unable to do so within royal life. Beneath that viral moment sat a much heavier set of claims that triggered what many royal commentators described as an institutional crisis. Meghan alleged there had been conversations within the family during her pregnancy with Archie about how dark her son's skin might be, and that those conversations were tied to questions about his title and security. She also described a severe mental health crisis during that same pregnancy, saying that when she asked Palace Human Resources for permission to seek inpatient psychiatric care, she was turned down over concerns about how it would look for the institution. Meghan also used the platform to push back on long-standing tabloid narratives, most notably the widely repeated story that she had made Kate Middleton cry over bridesmaid dresses before the royal wedding. Meghan said the opposite had happened, and that Kate had later apologized with flowers. The couple additionally claimed they had been secretly married by the Archbishop of Canterbury in their backyard 3 days before the official public ceremony, a claim later disputed when official records confirmed the legal marriage took place at Windsor Castle. When Harry joined the conversation, he described his own strained relationship with the institution, saying his father, then Prince Charles, cut off his financial support after the move to the U.S. and stopped returning his calls for a period of weeks. Harry drew a direct line between the media pressure Meghan faced and the pressure that had surrounded his mother, Princess Diana, in the years before her death, a comparison that struck a nerve with viewers who remembered Diana's own 1995 sit-down interview with the BBC's Martin Bashir, itself later found to have been secured through deception. The Great Divide. Public reaction split sharply along geographic lines. In the United States, most audiences sided with Harry and Meghan, viewing them as speaking out against an unfair and outdated system. In the UK, sentiment tilted the other way, with a large share of the public viewing the interview as a coordinated strike against a historic institution. On both sides of the Atlantic, though, plenty of viewers questioned the optics of the timing. The interview aired while much of the world was still under strict COVID-19 lockdowns, and footage of two wealthy public figures airing grievances from a sprawling California estate struck many as tone-deaf given the moment. The British media response escalated quickly. Piers Morgan famously walked off the set of Good Morning Britain mid-broadcast after a heated on-air disagreement with a colleague over whether he believed Meghan's account of her mental health struggles. The fallout from that appearance, and the volume of viewer complaints that followed, led directly to his departure from the show days later. Meanwhile, British tabloids launched a coordinated effort across their front pages to challenge and dispute individual claims from the interview point by point. In North America, prominent cultural figures rallied to Meghan's defense, including Beyoncé, Serena Williams, and Amanda Gorman, who each publicly praised her for speaking out. The story reached political circles as well. The White House press secretary offered supportive remarks about the couple's openness on mental health during a routine briefing, while UK political figures largely avoided direct comment on the growing international story. The palace's calculated retaliation. Facing what many saw as a genuine threat to public confidence in the institution, Buckingham Palace broke its usual silence with a carefully measured statement, but only after waiting roughly 36 hours following the UK broadcast. Queen Elizabeth II's official response ran just 61 words, including the now widely quoted line that some recollections may vary, while stating that the family took the issues raised, particularly those relating to race, very seriously and would address them privately. Around the same period, reports surfaced that the palace was reviewing separate allegations that Meghan had bullied royal staff, claims that shifted at least some media attention back onto the couple rather than the palace's handling of the interview's fallout. Days later, Prince William broke from typical royal reticence when a reporter asked, on camera, whether the royal family was racist. William responded firmly that they were very much not a racist family, a rare public reaction that many observers read as a sign of how much internal tension the interview had actually stirred up. Questions about the journalism itself. In the months that followed, a number of journalists and media critics turned their attention not to the royal family's response, but to Oprah's interviewing technique itself. Throughout the special, she rarely pressed for documentation or asked pointed follow-up questions on some of the couple's more contested claims. Several statements went unchallenged despite conflicting with publicly available facts. For example, Meghan suggested royal protocol had been specifically altered to prevent Archie from receiving a title and the security that comes with it. But long-standing rules dating back to 1917 already specify that great-grandchildren of a reigning monarch don't automatically receive the title prince until their grandparent ascends the throne. Oprah did not raise that existing rule during the conversation. Similarly, the claim about a secret pre-wedding ceremony was quickly disputed once the Archbishop of Canterbury clarified publicly that no legal marriage occurred outside the official Windsor Castle ceremony. Critics also pointed out that Oprah allowed a serious allegation of racial bias to stand without pressing for the identity of the family member involved, a choice that left a cloud of suspicion hanging over the entire royal family rather than one individual. Oprah has defended her approach since, saying her role wasn't to cross-examine the couple, but to give them space to speak. Still, the lack of pushback fed a narrative, in the eyes of some commentators, that the special functioned more as a curated introduction to Harry and Meghan's post-royal public image than as investigative journalism. The post-interview slump. The years following the interview brought a string of high-profile projects and a gradual cooling of public interest. In December 2022, Harry and Meghan released their Netflix documentary series, reportedly part of a deal worth close to $100 million. But by the time it hit screens, much of the initial appetite for their story had faded. Meghan's Spotify podcast deal was canceled not long after, with a Spotify executive publicly labeling the couple grifters. Mainstream comedy shows, including South Park and Family Guy, mocked what critics characterized as a contradiction between the couple's stated desire for privacy and their continued high-profile media presence. A tension that only deepened after Harry's 2023 memoir, Spare, became one of the fastest-selling non-fiction books in modern publishing history while reigniting many of the same family disputes. By 2025 and into 2026, Meghan pivoted toward lifestyle content, launching a cooking series and appearing as a guest judge on MasterChef Australia, while Harry continued his work with the Invictus Games, the international sporting event he founded in 2014 for wounded and injured service members. Even so, polling from YouGov reportedly showed the couple's favorability sitting at historic lows in both the UK and the US. The 2021 interview, for all its impact, appears to have locked the couple into a narrative of grievance that has proven difficult to shake, a dynamic that ultimately pushed Oprah back into the spotlight to offer her own account on her own terms. It's not surprising that Oprah has kept some distance from the couple's later media campaigns, choosing not to join their subsequent press tours. Still, she stands by the impact of the original interview, saying it worked precisely because Harry and Meghan didn't hold anything back. Whether or not that was her intention, the conversation she set out to have in pursuit of the truth ended up leaving a lasting crack in the foundation of the British monarchy, one that, years later, still hasn't fully healed. So, do you think the royal family bears more responsibility for the backlash Harry and Meghan have faced, or did Oprah's interview make things worse? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you never miss one of our videos. Thanks for watching.